to be calling, and I am calling to order this meeting of the Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committee. I'm Cam Gordon, I'm chair of the committee, and today I'm joined by Vice Chair Andrew Johnson, Council members Jacob Fry, Elizabeth Glidden, and Lisa Bender. It's very possible we'll also be joined by Alondra Cano any moment. We have 4 items today. Actually, got that wrong. We have 5 items before us. The first one is a public hearing on the grocery store requirements and ordinance amendment. And the next 3 are all consent items. I don't know if anybody's here for the consent items, and it doesn't look like it. So I think we'll just go right into the public hearing. And to start the public hearing, this is a public hearing on the grocery store requirement ordinance amendment, amending Title 10, Chapter 203 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances relating to food code, grocery stores, amending various provisions, including those related to the minimum sales floor area and off-street parking spaces. And I believe we'll get a report from the Health Department from Ms. Klinger. Welcome very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Today I'll be giving a brief overview of proposed amendments to the city's grocery store license ordinance. I will start by explaining what the current ordinance requires. Section 203.20 of the current ordinance says that licensed grocery stores have to meet 2 requirements. First, they have to provide and maintain a minimum sales floor area of 2,000 square feet, and they also must provide and maintain a minimum of 4 adjoining off-street parking spaces. Section 203.30 of the current ordinance says that the following types of grocery stores are exempt from the square footage and the parking requirements. And those include accessory use grocery stores, gas stations with less than 300 square feet of total retail sales floor area, stores located in the central commercial district, and stores located in a shopping center. So those stores do not have to meet the square footage and the parking requirements. So in the past, there have been licensed grocery stores that have been more focused on selling tobacco and other items instead of serving as a place where people can actually buy food. And so problematic activities at these corner grocery stores were a common occurrence, and that's why the square footage and the parking requirements were introduced as a way to help address these issues and ensure that the small grocery stores were serving their intended purpose within the community. So while the square footage and the parking requirements did help to address some problems occurring at certain types of stores, they've created a bit of a licensing challenge for some legitimate corner grocery stores. Some corner grocery stores can't meet the grocery license requirement because they're too small. So in other words, they have less than 2,000 square feet of retail space. And at the same time, most corner grocery stores don't qualify for one of the exemptions that I outlined earlier. So in other words, they aren't an accessory use grocery, they're not a small gas station, and they're not a store that's located downtown or in a shopping center. So if they can't meet either the square footage requirement or qualify for an exemption, then that means that they essentially kind of get caught in this gray zone and they can't obtain a grocery license to operate. So to address those 2 issues, we are proposing 2 changes to the current ordinance. First, we recommend modifying the square footage requirement in section 203.20A to read, all grocery stores not located on a commercial corridor shall provide and maintain a sales floor area of 2,000 square feet unless granted a waiver by the City Council. And second, we recommend removing the parking space requirement found in section 203.20B. So the change to the square footage requirement is being proposed because we still want to address problematic activities that are occurring at some licensed grocery stores, but we want to do this in a way that minimizes the burden on legitimate small grocers. So recent improvements to the grocery store ordinance, including the new staple food requirements that were adopted in October, can allow us to address these problematic stores without burdening small grocers with square footage requirements. And then the change to the parking language is being proposed because reasonable parking standards for licensed grocery stores already exist in the city's zoning code, and they don't need to be articulated here in the food code. And finally, we think that these proposed changes will help streamline the grocery store license ordinance and reduce burdens on small businesses that are trying to serve their community's needs. And these improvements are very much in line with the city's goal of promoting economic activity and innovation through efficient policies that can help support businesses while still protecting the interests of the community. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we also have business licensing staff here that can maybe address some things that I'm not able to.
I don't see any questions. Would you say this is coming forward with a recommendation from the Health Department as well as business licensing?
Mr. Chair, yes, I would say that it's coming forward with recommendation from both departments.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no questions, then I'm going to open the public hearing and see if anybody would like to come and speak about this issue. So if you're here to speak on the grocery store requirement ordinance amendment, this is your time to speak. Do we have anybody signed up? Nobody has to speak if they don't want to, however, but we appreciate those who attended because they were interested. I don't. Would you like to? Thank you. I thought maybe that you did this. That's okay. You don't need to have the sign-up sheet. You could maybe introduce your name and your address for the record, and then tell us your thoughts.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all the members. I'm Cesar Prado, and I own the store was named Supermercado Galapagos, and I'm on the store for more than 4 years. We just moved from the relocate in August, and when we moved from the northeast Minneapolis to South Minneapolis to Lake Street, and we rent a place for relocate our store and do all the paperwork, and we're finding out we can't get the license. And so it was very hard for us to get this. Finally, after 3 months working with the city for the license, we just opened last Sunday for that. But it's be hard for us to keep a moving business if we can't apply for EBT and food stamps, because it's kind of like the city told me it's too small for that. And so that reason I'm here is to say, please can help us to move this, to fix it, these recommendations, because for a small business, it's very important for us to have it food stamps, because that's where the clients come and buy in a store and help us to a little bit. So thanks for hard working. I appreciate it, and I hope this be help for us. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for being here and for doing business in the city of Minneapolis. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else here to speak at the public hearing? Last call. Seeing nobody come forward, then I'll close the public hearing, and I will open things up for discussion with council members or opportunity to make the motion if anybody would like to do that. Yeah, Councilmember Cano.
Thank you so much. Sorry, over here, I'm trying to avoid a major cough attack. Yes, I would like to move this forward, please. And our office has been working on this a lot and appreciate the support from other council members who have also been in this conversation.
All right, so that's been moved. I'll just note that this is something that came up in some discussions when we were amending not too long ago, you may recall, the whole grocery store ordinance. It was something that we didn't decide to change right away, but as we saw all the other changes that were coming into place, and then as we started to notice how this could impact some of the grocery stores and potential grocery stores out there, we thought it was worth coming back and having a second discussion. We decided rather than do that at the last minute after all the work that had gone into making the larger amendment on the grocery store ordinance, we just pause and have an opportunity to do that. And I really appreciate Councilmember Cano kind of taking the lead on that and working out what I think is a great solution and a good compromise. I know there was actually some interest in maybe not limiting it to a commercial corridor, but we now have it clear that it can be waived if you're on a commercial corridor. Then there's also even another opportunity that the city council can come in and waive the requirement in other locations too. And so I think that this is a good compromise. Any other comments? Then I will ask all those in favor of the motion to please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Well, that carries then. Thank you very much. And then we'll move on to our consent items, and there are 3 consent items before us. The first consent item is to authorize an increase in the contract with Project for Pride in Living by $93,000 for a revised contract total of $573,000 to fund final closeout projects for the 3-year Housing and Urban Development Healthy Homes Thriving Communities Grant Project. The third item, which is our second consent item, is approving the mayoral and city council appointments to the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee of Richard Cavani, Anthony Morley, and Ellen Wolfson. And the final consent item is approving the appointments to the Minneapolis Community Environmental Advisory Commission for 2-year terms to expire December 31st, 2016. There's a few more names here. These are both mayoral and council appointees. Dylan Branford Kesty, Anna Alvarez, Andrew Murray, Alejandro Orejo St. Martin, Martha Martinez, Alan Campbell, Jen Cater, Eduardo Cardenas, Shalini Gupta, Roxanne O'Brien, Lisa Daniels, Michelle Stockness, Daryl Gerber, Malaya House-Connect, James Nash, and Brian Ross. Several of those are reappointments. We're also going to be asking to waive the residency requirement for Anna, who works downtown. And as part of this action, we also want to formally thank outgoing members, Ross Abbey, Marty Browan, Sam Grant, Pat Malloy, Michelle Schroeder, Jameson Tessner, and Alexis Trosmizech. I probably mispronounced that one too. But we thank them there for their participation and dedication. Are there any questions or anything about the consent item? Anybody want to pull anything off for further discussion? Seeing none, then I will move all 3 consent items. In favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries then. And then we have 1 discussion item left. It's a bit of an announcement with a receiving and a filing. This is an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about the City of Minneapolis' designation as Climate Action Champion. And I'm not sure if we're going to hear from the Mayor's Office on this. I think we are, other than the Sustainability Office. Well, thank you very much and welcome.
Chair Gordon, members of the committee, thank you very much for having me here today. On October 20, my name is Stephanie Zavostowski. I am the policy aide who focuses on sustainability in the mayor's office. On October 1st, 2014, the Obama administration launched the first round of the Climate Action Champion competition. According to the White House statement at the launch, the objective of the program is to recognize and support the path-breaking steps that local and tribal governments are already taking to reduce carbon pollution and prepare for the impacts of climate change. Administered by the Department of Energy, eligible communities interested in applying needed to detail their past leadership on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and climate resilience, as well as discuss future plans and goals. Applications were due October 27th. In coordination with the city coordinator, city council, sustainability, environmental management, or emergency management, and intergovernmental relations, the mayor's office compiled the application. Among many other accomplishments, the application features the city's climate action plan and the new Clean Energy Partnership as the primary achievements that demonstrate Minneapolis's leadership on this issue. The city of Minneapolis received notification on December 2nd, 2014, that it is one of 16 communities from around the country to be selected by the White House and the Department of Energy as the first cohort of climate action champions. As part of President Obama's strategy on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, this designation means Minneapolis will be eligible for special consideration for federal grants from a number of agencies, including but not limited to Housing and Urban Development, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Transportation, and the Department of Commerce. Additionally, a liaison will be assigned to each climate action champion to foster communication and coordination across the federal agencies national organizations, and foundations in support of each community's work. The coordinator will also assist efforts to raise awareness of funding and technical assistance opportunities that are available specifically for climate action champions. Thank you to all of the departments that not only helped pull together the application in such a short time frame, but that have worked for many years to create the results and the accomplishments that have earned the city this designation.
Thank you very much. I see some comments or questions. Councilmember Glidden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just couldn't let this moment pass without adding my congratulations to the list. I just want to thank the mayor's office along with our great staff from I know many departments, including IGR and sustainability and others who worked hard to make sure that we got in a great application. But the reality is this application came to fruition because we have really invested in saying that climate change, doing our part to be a green city is something that we have prioritized for some time. And I think it also is a recognition, as we said, as one of only 16 communities from around the entire country that we are doing creative things, we are doing things that can be models to others, and we should be proud of that. I really hope that we are able to realize some benefit by being placed in this echelon of communities that are now have a step up, I guess you might say, in applying for federal assistance. And I hope we are able to leverage our commitment to things like the Clean Energy Partnership to great benefit for our residents, because in the end, that's what this is about, is how we're able to actually make a difference to our community, for our residents, to the environment. And I just really want to thank you for taking leadership and making sure that we are in the mix here. And we certainly are. We're on the national platform. Thank you very much.
I also think this is wonderful and this is great news. And I was wondering if you had any indication or if you have any thoughts about why our application maybe rose to the top and we were selected. What do you think stood out in terms of making us one of the 16?
Sure, Chair Gordon, members of the committee. In taking a look at the White House press release after we were notified that we were one of the top 16 in the country, a couple of things were clear to me. One is that every community that was accepted had some sort of climate action plan or set of goals that they had been working toward for their greenhouse gas emission reductions. And so having that climate action plan that was passed by the council last year is very important. And the fact that we've made such incredible progress against those goals that have been laid out, and hopefully will continue to do so, hopefully with the assistance of these grants in the near future, I think is one thing that made a huge difference. The other is that all the communities seem to have really highlighted things that were either regionally important to them, such as coastal communities talking about their climate resilience efforts, or really innovative partnerships and programs, such as our Clean Energy Partnership. And so you'll notice in the White House press release that those are the two things that were highlighted by the White House as far as the reason why we were selected.
Did they specifically highlight the Clean Energy Partnership?
Yes, they did. Yes, Chair Gordon, they did.
Interesting. And my other question is about funding a little bit. There is no money actually that comes from this, and that's frustrating. But what are the kinds of things that we might apply for in the future, or what could this help us with?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Gordon, members of the committee. There is a list of, a number of different technical assistance opportunities that we're just beginning to dive into and understanding what those are available. We were told when we were notified that in the next 30 days, more information will come as far as what we're eligible for, what that sort of assistance and that liaison that will be our guide in helping to navigate the various federal agencies, foundation support, private sector support, pulling that all together for us. So we'll be learning about that. One thing I wanted to highlight just as an example, it may not necessarily even be applicable to Minneapolis, but one grant that was announced with the announcement of the Climate Action Champions designation was something called Funding for Smart Grid Technologies. The Department of Energy is announcing that up to $3.5 million will be made available through the Resilient Electricity Delivery Infrastructure, abbreviated as READY initiative. It's a funding opportunity that will help communities deploy pre-commercial and commercial smart grid technologies and tools that will help decision makers and resource managers to improve the recovery of electric delivery services in their communities. So for example, they're really trying to marry the opportunity of how we can meet climate change goals as well as becoming more resilient communities, and hopefully do those through the same mechanisms.
Well, wonderful. I know we've heard a lot about smart grid technologies in the past too. Councilmember Fry has a question or comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. So no money is presently allocated, but based on this designation, we have a much stronger chance of getting money down the road, right?
Chair Gordon, Councilmember Fry, yes, that is correct.
Okay, thanks.
I don't see any other comments or questions. So I will move to receive and file this, and thank you very much for the report. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries, and I don't see any other business before us, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.